going to start off the Deep Silence 1 installation with the power supply. And as you can see, we've got the 4 standoffs with the hole completely open below the power supply with the removable dust filter, which obviously is going to be fantastic. So I'm going to do it fan side down. And obviously goes right into place. I'm going to use 4 thumb screws, and our power supply is in place. Next, I'm going to get my hard drives ready to go in. Very simple procedure. Harddrive tray with 4 grommeted screw holes, which will line up with the 4 screws in the bottom of the hard drive. Obviously, just place it right on top and put the 4 screws into place. With the 4 screws in place, your hard drive is going to be ready to go in the tray, and it's going to be a tool-free in and out of the hard drive cage. The Deep Silence one uses standard screw and motherboard standoffs, which obviously you will place into place, and they simply screw in by hand. You can tighten them up with a pair of pliers or whatnot if you like. We're going to be using a full-size ATX, so all 9 I've put into place, as you can see. And I'm going to put the motherboard into place. Personally, I like doing my assembly on the cooler outside of the case. So cooler is already on. And we'll just line it up with the rear I/O and the standoffs and put it into place. Then it's simply a matter of 9 screws to hold the motherboard into place. As you can see, we've got a good amount of room to work. No problems getting to any of the motherboard screws at all. Next, I'm going to put in my add-on cards. So first thing, we're going to take out the rear Pci covers. They are tool free. However, first time you are going to want to give them a little unscrew with a screwdriver, and after that, thumb screws will come right out, as will the covers. So with the covers off, first we'll lay on our video card, snap it right into place, and I am going to use a sound card in this build. I'll pop that into place, and then just need to tighten up the thumb screws to secure it. I've started doing some of the wiring, and so far the cable routing options have been absolutely fantastic. As you can see, the grommet down here, in the motherboard tray is perfectly placed for doing your front panel headers, or your front panel connectors, I should say. Also, obviously the side going to be very well placed. The top has been great. It's all open up top, so you can actually run everything back through the top, the entire length of the motherboard. 24 pin, not a problem whatsoever. So far going really well. The one thing I will say though, there was a problem with the USB 3. It uses a very thick cable. Because of where it's located on this motherboard, it's going to be different on other motherboards. Where it's located here though, which is on the side and facing out, it cannot make the turn into the grommet. You've got to go around the motherboard tray itself. The cable is just too thick to make that sharp of a turn. Next, I'm going to drop in the optical drive. Very simple procedure. Unclip the cover in the front, slide the drive into place, And the top slot you already know. And the cable, just need to move them out of the way. Line it up. Side will push in, click forward, and the drive's locked into place. There is a lock on both sides. So just lock both sides and the drive's in. Next we'll put our hard drives into place. And we've already put them, as you know, into the trays. Just line it up. And they will just snap right into place. Quick, easy, simple, efficient. We're only using the bottom hard drive cage. We're not going to use the top two simply because we don't need to in this particular build. We're using two SSDs with the two 3.5s. Obviously I'm using an adapter made by ICDoc to put the two SSDs into the one 3.5, but not a problem whatsoever. This is going to open up all the airflow up top, get it moving to the components. Now all that's left to do is finalize our wiring, and our install is complete. And with the cable routing finally done, the Nanoxia Deep Silence one offers actually a very nice clean install. You've got a great amount of room to work. As you can see, there's a good amount of room on the top of even the Fantex 14 PE. A lot of working room, great flexibility, very good cable routing as you can see. Cables minimum is shown anywhere throughout the case. Really a nice clean install, very easy, very versatile, and comes out very, very nicely with an air cooling system. Something really worth noting is the incredible amount of room you have for a video card. As you can see, I've got a 660 Ti in here with an extended heatsink, gigabyte overclock model WindForce, and obviously you're nowhere near the front or running into any problems with space. Even obviously with the all the hard drive cages installed, it's not going to be an issue. You've still got just a tremendous amount of space. But if you're looking to go with a bigger video card and leave the front hard drive cages in, you're still not going to have too much of a problem. Even going to something like an Asus GTX 680 Direct CU, which is just a gigantic video card, as you can see, triple slot, still fits with all the hard drive cages in. That's really just an incredible amount of room for a mid-tower case. We talked earlier and had seen that the motherboard tray of the Deep Silence one has a really nice big cutout. Problem being, it's in entirely the wrong place for an LGA 1155 motherboard. LGA 1156 as well. As you can see, you've got tons of room over here, but the back plate actually sits behind the motherboard or sits behind the solid part of the motherboard, and the two inside bolts have to be put in with the motherboard outside of the case. Really curious, and like I say, it's just the cutout is entirely misplaced on the motherboard. If you do change out coolers a bit, this is going to be a problem. Getting into some of the water cooling options for the Deep Silence 1. First thing, we took a look at the flip open front fans, and in fact the nose pops off without a problem. So the flip open front fans are a big deal here, and taking the nose off, you're going to want to take out, if you're going to do a front mount, one of the optional mounts for the radiator, you need to take the bottom hard drive cage out. 4 screws right behind the front door and 4 screws on the bottom. Hard drive cage comes out. Now you take a look, and you've just got a tremendous amount of room up here for the radiator itself. The screw holes are right built into the nose. You've got the tool-free fan holders up front. You can actually use that for the fans of your radiator, or you can use it to do a push-pull with fans on the other side. So, taking a look at a front mount and the kind of room you're going to have, I mean, you've just got an incredible amount of room up here. Even with the second hard drive cage, you're going to be right to here. You've got a great amount of room, even if you're doing a push-pull with fairly substantial radiator here. 29mm thick rad. So you've got a good amount of room, to say the least. And you screw in right through the front. No real disassembly is required, as these are flip-out, tool-free, and screw holes are right on the other side to mount the front radiator. So front radiator option, great option. You can do it as an intake in the front. You're going to get better cooling than doing it as an exhaust slightly. But also you're going to have to do the hard drive cage in the rear, as we had said. Now, if you're going to do the hard drive cage in the rear with the radiator up front, cage will just go into place. Worth noting, I'm using a 190 millimeter power supply in here. Really, max you should be using is about a 180, but the 190 will just squeeze in with the connectors. And you can see you've got your mount back here, still got all this room up front for the radiator to sit in, and you've got your 3 hard drive cage. You can put the 2 hard drive cage on top as well if you're using a shorter GPU, of course, or a slimmer GPU that'll fit over the top. If you're going to be doing a radiator top mount, you're going to need to remove the top, which just pops up from the rear. 4 clips, get it right up, and it'll pop off. As you can see, you've just got a plethora of mounting options up top. 240, 280 fit no problem. Obviously 120 or 140 is going to fit without a problem. But as you can see up top, you've got great options as far as radiator mounting and good cooling. Something to keep in mind, you can't do your fans up on top of the case, up in this area of the top. There are the bars for the chimney in the way, so everything will go below inside the case, but you do need to remove the top to do the mounting. One of the really nice things about the Deep Silence 1, with the plethora of screw holes up top for mounting the radiator, you can actually mount towards the side of the case rather than dead center. This opens up quite a bit of room over here, and even with the Sabertooth's thermal armor, you've got some space between the motherboard and the radiator and fans, so you've got a little bit of room there to work with. So you're not going to be hitting the motherboard, you're not going to be hitting heat sinks, you have a little bit to work with, like I say. You could even get your RAM in and out without too much of a problem. So it does open up quite a bit more working room than we're used to seeing from a mid-tower case. All said, the Nanoxia Deep Silence 1 gives you just an astounding amount of flexibility for liquid cooling. You've got room up top for a 240, a 280, a 120 or a 140, a 120 or a 140 in the back. As far as radiators, up front you can do a 240 or a 120, and of course use them all in conjunction. You can do push-pull up in the front without a problem. You can do a push-pull up top. The offset of the top radiator really gives you enough room, where you can drop down quite a bit. Gives you a lot more motherboard clearance and component clearance than any other case I've seen. So really just phenomenal flexibility in liquid cooling from the Deep Silence 1.